All right, well, welcome back to the P18 podcast, everybody. With me today, we have Dr. Art Ornelas with us.
Hello.
Dr. Ornelas, he's a proud member of the Social Studies Department and, more importantly, one of the voices of Perry High School as well, specifically athletics. So,
Yes.
Dr. Ornelas, thank you for taking some time and being with us today.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. So I have some questions for you.
All right.
So we're going to rapid fire them your way, so feel free to give me the answer that you want to on each of them.
All right.
Okay, as we
I'll
go.
do my best. I'll do my
So-
best to answer about myself.
There you go. It's always fun to talk about
Yeah,
ourselves, right? All right. Question one. Can you share a little bit about your journey and how you came to be part of Perry High School?
Oh, it's a funny story because I interviewed for a world history position here at Perry while I was still living in New Mexico, and I didn't get the job. But then Jason Myers, our department head at the time, I guess he was impressed with me because he went to Joe Green, the AP
Yes.
here at the time, and said, I really like this guy. I'd like to bring him on board. I'd like to recommend him for the government position. And, all things said and done, I ended up teaching government here, which I at first was a little hesitant, but man, I love doing it. I love teaching government. So seniors, they're a lot of fun. And so, but that's pretty much what brought me here.
All right. So in your job of teaching government, what's a typical day look like for you?
Well, the students will tell you a lot of notes. You get a lot of notes in here, Dr. O, and I'm like, hey, I tell them I got a lot of stuff to cover, and one of the best ways to do it for me has been through notes. And I tell them, if I didn't care about their learning, I would just post the notes, tell them to write them, and do the summary, and I'd be sitting at my desk, the entire period. But I can't do that, and so we do take a lot of notes. I quiz them on the amendments a lot. I have former students still coming back to me saying, I know a lot of the amendments, and that's good. That's what I want to hear. And so a lot of notes, a lot of quizzes, tests, trying to get them, they're seniors, so I'm trying to get them a little bit more prepared for that college experience where they're just going to sit and take notes in class.
So what part of your job teaching government would people be surprised to know about?
I guess the thing that would surprise them most is things that I teach the students that surprise them would also surprise the public. For instance, in the news a lot lately, there's talk of non-citizens and the Constitution. And a lot of people are surprised that, including my students, that people living here illegally are also protected by our Constitution. And I explain to my students, the reason that's important is because by protecting people living here illegally with the Constitution, you're protecting all of us. All of us are being protected that way. I use the example, if non-citizens were not protected by the Constitution, then the police could arrest anybody, charge them with being here illegally, and their due process is gone.
So teaching government, right, depending on the year, the topics kind of flow in a different way.
Absolutely.
So it's like this potentially, the one we're talking about now is not only something that you're, informationally given notes for, but also something that is real world,
Right.
real life for the kids that are potentially now they're going to be old enough to start voting.
Right.
And everything else that you go out into the world for. But then next year potentially, or even last year or the year before, that wouldn't have been necessarily a talking point in government. It would have been something else.
Well, and that's another reason that I love teaching Gov is because government is ubiquitous with them. It's everywhere, especially with the access. We have that instant access to media, to information. And with the current administration, for instance, I can use real world examples like the EO, the executive order dealing with birthright citizenship. And we talked about that. And they're much more attentive because they hear about it out in public. And so they're starting to make that connection between what we're learning in class and what's going on in the real world. So yeah, absolutely.
All right, switch gears for a second for the next question.
All right.
I know you're a big sports person, right? So if you could have dinner with any sports figure, could be past or present,
All right.
who would it be and why that person?
So probably Jackie Robinson, just because I'd love to just talk to him about, how he wound up where he was and how he and just what he went through in his own experience and in his own words, what was that like? Because I tell people all the time, you get a lot more from history straight from the person who lived it.
So being, this is a follow-up question for this. So being, you're the one that's going out to dinner with Jackie Robinson, so you're probably picking the place.
Yeah.
And, could be Arizona, could be New Mexico. If there's a specific restaurant that you'd like to take them to for dinner,
Oh, wow.
you have one in mind? Where would you
It'd
go?
probably be Mexican.
Somewhere in Las Cruces?
Probably somewhere in Las Cruces, because I personally believe, and people will argue with me, they have the best Mexican restaurants in Las Cruces, in New Mexico.
Yes, they do, by the way.
They do. It's funny because it was a conversation I was having with a friend of mine who lives in Roswell, and I told him, and he goes, "No, that's not true." I go, "All right, Richard." I said, "Give me a place in New Mexico that's better than Ornelas, Sí Señor, El Sombrero. Give me a place that's better than that, any of those places." And he couldn't think of a place. I go,
That's right.
asked and answered. I rest my case. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
All right, next question. Now, what do you wish that more people understood about Perry?
Just how great the school is. I mean, it's a great environment. The kids are awesome, and it's when I taught middle school, every time I drove by the middle school, I'd be like, ugh, right? I got to go to work tomorrow. When I drive by Perry, I don't have that same feeling. I actually look forward to it. Like, oh yeah, I got to go to work tomorrow. And I just that kind of understanding when it came to the school itself, that we have a great environment here, great administration, not to kiss up or anything, but it's the truth. But also just great kids. Kids here are awesome. So.
And then lastly, we all have choices about where we can work. What has made Perry the place for you?
Again, just really, when it comes down to it, the three things, my department, it's great working with all of them. We're all supportive of each other. If I need help, especially when I first got here teaching a subject I had never taught before, government, I could ask for help from my colleagues, especially the government side with, Jessica and Cole, and she helped me out too. Elizabeth did. So they all, but also the administration. You guys are always real supportive, always have a positive kind of a positive attitude, because attitude reflects leadership, is what they say.
True.
But ultimately, it's the kids. The students here are awesome, and I always tell people that the 10 years I spent teaching middle school have made teaching high school so much more fun. So if I ever have colleagues complain about teaching, high school students, I say, try teaching middle schoolers.
Absolutely.
Yeah, try that. And so,
Yes.
not that
Different kind of life.
Yeah, different kind of life, but absolutely. But I have a friend who went from teaching middle school, Amy Krenzel, went from teaching middle school at Picacho to teaching high school at Centennial there in Las Cruces, and she missed teaching middle school. And so each their own, man. Absolutely. I talk to kindergarten teachers, and when I find out, I'm like, I can never do that. But then when they find out I teach seniors, like, I can never do that. So to each their own.
Absolutely. And that's what makes it great about
Right,
education.
absolutely. Right.
Dr. Ornelas, I appreciate the time you gave with us today for the PA Team podcast.
I appreciate you having me.
Thank you.
Have a good one.